Breitenstein, and these are the books I've released so far. Today it's it's Wednesday, the 10th of March 2021, and this video is not scripted, so I'm likely going to ramble a little bit. Just to start, I want to make this into a series, into a video series. Whether or not this will be weekly, maybe bi-weekly, I do not yet know. It depends on if I have anything to tell after a week or even 2 weeks. After all, making a book does take some time. But these are the books that are released so far, with a couple of series. How this happened, the Alexander and Turias 8-book series and the 7-book series, I do not know. It shouldn't. It should only be this 8-book series. As you can see, I do write several different things. I do always write many different things at once, or rather make those stories. I have another storyline, for example, of which the first book is just about ready to release, which will be only science fiction. The Alexander and Stone series is science fiction and magic and fantasy, science fiction magic mix. This is my first German book. This is the collection. The Alexander and Stone series is basically in 3 parts. The first part is collected here. Sorry. The first part is collected here in the first book of the collection. I've priced it so that all the single books cost exactly the same amount as the collection. Also, if you have the single books, you don't need the collection, and the other way around. The second part of the collection will be when the second part of the series is finished. And the third part as well, of course. Then Turias, the Master of Dungeons. That's the longest book I've written so far. The World Dungeon. This one is funny. The idea to the World Dungeon, how this came to be. I was under the shower. I do like living dungeon books. I was showering and I was thinking, I do want a living dungeon book series myself. Although I don't want to make it the same way as everyone else. So the question became, what do I do? How do I make mine different? And then I had the idea to just make the dungeon a fungus. And that is basically the entire pitch. A fungal living dungeon that basically eats people. That's all there is to this series, and there are 4 books so far. Around here, the reviews aren't all that good. As you can see, some people like it, some people don't. Over on Goodreads, I think the reviews are a little bit better. Brumian, that's how to describe it. It's basically it's an MMORPG told from the point of view from one of the NPCs. Who of course makes fun of everyone, and I do make fun of some typical players, like relatively skill-free player who think if things go wrong, it's everyone else's fault. In MMORPGs, I generally am a healer, so of course the healer sometimes does take a lot of flack, which is not deserved by the skill-free player, and it's just one of many elements. Book 3 of that, by the way, is in the work. When that will come, I do not know. because currently I'm focusing on Xander and Stone. That's also my money bringer. Almost, well, not all of my sales are on Xander and Stone, but the vast majority. This one, for example, hasn't sold a single book so far. And neither has this. I do not know, when I made this cover, or rather when I chose this cover, I'm using the cover maker on Amazon. I did think it was a good idea to make it as it is, Mutation on the Moon, to try and give it an organic cover of some kind. But frankly, the longer I look at it, the less I like it. So I might redo this cover. I might also, as I do intend to make this into a long series, the Breitenstein random stories, where I essentially have an Excel-like an Excel table where I have several elements: start of the story, middle of the story, ending of the story, and have them sorted at random, so that I never know what kind of story I have to write. We can look into the... Oh, that works too. The Breitenstein random stories are built out of parts that are rolled randomly. That way I have no clue what I'm going to write until I start doing so. This one had Moon, Monsoon, Mutation, Extinction. It was quite a bit of a challenge, but it was also probably the greatest fun I've had writing a book in a long, long time. And this I want to make into a series of randomized stories. And I'm hoping that someone at some point will buy one, hopefully like it a little bit. But I'm going to make more of these, and as I've seen with Xander and Stone, because the first books hardly sold at all. But the longer the series got, the better things got. So I'm hoping for the same result here. And by the way, the same happened here as well. With the German books, we'll see. Maybe I'll make more, maybe I won't. I'm not fully certain. But I might make more. Or not, I'm not fully certain. Turias, the second book, is in the works. And with that I mainly mean I have written parts of it, so most of it is in my head. In my head there are always stories going around. Sometimes my head is quite a mess, with stories also intermingling and making a big mess, especially, and also the not yet written stories like the science fiction one, or I have an MMORPG story, of which I've written the first book mostly, but I'm going to rewrite it. I have a God book as well, a God book series that I'm mentally working on all the time. But again, at the moment, Xander and Stone is the focus, and the next book, Xander and Stone book 9, and Deodrine 4-1, I believe it is, should, with a little bit of luck, be coming out this weekend or the next weekend, at the very latest. But I'm going to try and make it this weekend. After that, frankly, I think I'll look at the new series, the science fiction series, and see if the first book is releasable, and we'll bring that too. I want to make the second random story. Those are relatively quick to write because I already have the story, the story pointers. I only have to make the words, and that is a relatively quick process. That is basically all I have at the top of my mind where my writing is concerned. With the new books that I'm going to release, I will definitely make a new blog vlog every time I make a new book, or rather every time I release a new book, and that might also be the only time I make new authors vlogs, when I have a new book, when I have something more to talk about. But I'm also going to talk about the other stories. Probably a bit more scripted than this one, maybe not, I do not yet know. Yeah, but for the moment this is it. Thank you for watching and goodbye.